Welcome, Barbara. Welcome to Travel Connections. I am so excited to talk to you and to talk about Pinch Me. It is waking up in a 300-year-old Italian farmhouse. Oh my gosh. Congratulations.
Thank you. Am I dreaming? Pinch me. I do often think, am I dreaming? Suzanne, thank you for having me. It's really nice to spend time with you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. I'm a huge book lover, and therefore authors are my heroes. And Italy is like my favorite place in the whole world. So you and I have a lot in common, which you don't know yet. And I just felt so connected to you. And Travel Connections, this podcast is about the connections we make when we travel. And your experience in this book and your life just really touched me. So I'm thrilled to have you here.
Well, thank you. It is about connections. It's why I love Italy. In particular, I like making connections when I do travel. But this one I was smitten. It just sunk deep in me. So you're like the Italians I've met. No wonder.
Well, thank you. So, okay, can we go back a little bit before you wrote the book? You were in advertising. We also have a connection there. You were a creative director. Am I getting your title right, or was it?
Yes, I was global creative director for Saatchi Saatchi and Gray and Lowe, some big companies. I worked with Procter Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and Anheuser-Busch, the big guys, in big agencies. First on the West Coast, then in New York, then in Germany, also in Paris. So I traveled the world the last 15 years of my career. It was great. It was exciting. And I wrote my whole life, even as a little girl, even in college. So writing was always the thread throughout, but I was in advertising. Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, my first job out of school, I went to UCLA, and my first job was at J. Walter Thompson.
They just sold to Publicis yesterday or something.
Really?
Big, wonderful icons, one after another. I always liked Thompson. I thought that was a great shop.
But it's funny. I was just a kid and I loved it. And the people that worked there were so exciting. It was very cosmopolitan. It was in Century City. I don't know where were your offices in LA?
I was in San Francisco.
Oh, you were? Okay.
At the agency, it became Chiat. And then I was in New York for a long time at different shops. But, Century City, man, Thompson.
It was cool. It was very cool.
What did you do for them?
Well, that's a good question. I started just in media planning is really what I did in the media department in media planning. My sorority sister had worked for J.W. Thompson. And so I just got a job because she worked there. I mean, that was essentially.
Oh, and because you were qualified. They don't hire anybody. That's a wonderful job.
Well, thank you. I loved it. I thought it was a really great introduction to the business world. It was very youthful. It was very exciting. I worked on Mexicana Airlines, which doesn't exist anymore. But I used to meet with magazine reps, and it was fun. It was a really fun time. It was really a long time ago, but it was really fun. So we had that little connection there. So you had a very long and lustrous career. You decided to retire, or was this Italy revelation along the same time, or how did that go? Tell me the timeline.
There's a real line in the sand. I'd had many decades in advertising and just left it all in the field and said, okay, I'm done. I'm tired. I've given everything. I need to kind of take time to just live. And my longtime 12-year romance turned into a marriage at that point.
Congratulations. Yes.
And half of my life and his. And I was able to focus and say, let's get married and see what's next. So I kind of felt like I was getting a new wind in my sails.
Yeah.
Him. And we were planning our honeymoon and thought let's try Europe, for a couple of weeks, maybe south of France, northern Italy. Why not? We really didn't know exactly where we were going. We had to land in Geneva and return from Geneva. So southern France, northern Italy, Burgundy. But the whole northern Italy, I just heard was nice. I really didn't know what we were getting into. I could have just thrown a dart at a map and said, yep, there we go.
Right.
And found a hotel online that looked fantastic.
Okay.
But I had no idea where we were going. So the whole drive there was sort of, what are we doing? We had a week in Burgundy. And the second week began, wait a minute, it's rainy, it's cold, I don't know where we are, it's not that interesting. And by the time we actually got to the top of the little hill town, I'm like, okay, at least it's a hill town. It seemed right, but there's nobody. I couldn't see anyone on the streets. It was muddy. It was windy. I was in the middle of nowhere. And we fell into this hotel that was the most lovely, charming hotel I've ever been in, with this adorable woman who comes out, Buonasera, Mrs. Boyle. I'm like, why does she know my name? And oh, and she was so sweet, helping us with carrying our bags upstairs, upgrading our room, taking care. I'm like, this is really nice. And even I decided at that moment, even if I don't like Italy, I could stay in this room for like the next 6 days.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
It will be fine.
Right. But
Okay.
when we went downstairs, I said, could we just have dinner in the hotel? And she says, oh, I'm so sorry. We do breakfast and lunch, but not dinner. And I said, well, is there a restaurant in town? And she says, well, it's Tuesday, so the town is closed. I said, okay, it closes, right? Well, she goes, but there's one restaurant that's open. It's just right down the hill. Of course, it was icy and slippery and cobblestones. And I'm like, well, is there a taxi in town? She says, yes, but he's in Milan.
They all knew each other.
This is the strangest conversation I've ever had. And she says, it's okay, I'll take you. So she locks up the hotel, puts us in her little Fiat, drives us down the hill to this amazing dinner. We're the only people in the restaurant. And at the end of the dinner, the chef comes out and says, no, I'll take you home. And he drives us up to the hotel. We're just going, this is not normal. Why are these people so nice? And then we found out we're the only people in the hotel. And these buffets for breakfast were like 20 feet long with 1,000 kinds of things just for the two of us. So little moments like that was that first introduction to this beautiful town, Monforte Alba. And it went like that for 6 days. Lovely people, charming moments. They were nice to us. They were kind, even though we're the American tourists, where a lot of people aren't that impressed with American tourists. We were unique. They thought us interesting. And, they were, oh, look at them. They're so silly. They're so foolish. They're doing all the wrong things. Isn't that cute? As opposed to other people who roll their eyes at Americans. They were very welcoming. So it was the people. But then the fog dissipated, the sun came up, and it went the most amazing views ever, because you see these rolling vineyards. And you'd see in the distance these mountains with snow, and I went, those are the Alps, and I'm in a hill town, and between us and the Alps is nothing but vineyards and hazelnut orchards and little farms and more little hill towns and more castles and more. It was just beautiful. And then the restaurants were amazing. They were Michelin rated, 1-star, 2-star, and just homemade, fantastic food. I mean, extraordinary breakfast, lunch, and dinner for like 6 days. And incredible wines. It's where the Barolo wines come from, is right in our area. And that is the wine of kings and the king of wines.
I love that line in your book.
I said, well, it's a good ad line.
Yeah.
And I had never heard it until they told me that. I go, well, guys. Anyhow, it is an extraordinary place, and we were desperately in love with each other on our honeymoon, but also with this town. And then we came back to San Francisco, where we were living, and I'm saying, we must have just been in love and on a romantic time. We need to go back and see. And we came back 18 months later. Same thing.
Same thing.
And it's like that every time I'm in there. That's why I try to be there as much as possible. Every day there's these moments that are extraordinarily uniquely kind and dear and delicious and beautiful and peaceful. It's a dream. It really is a dream.
It is a dream. And that's what I felt when I was reading it. I'm like, yes, this sounds amazing. And you met a cast of characters. And I mean that in a nice way.
Exactly.
Just lovely people with a story behind them, and the little couple next door. And it kept unfolding, and I'm like, no, this can't be. How lucky were you?
I was ridiculously lucky. I mean, stupidly lucky that we just literally stumbled upon it. And even now we look at each other, because when we found this, we went back the second time and found this wonderful, old, gracious, demure old lady barn falling apart, rusted out, muddied, spiders and no roof. And we decided to buy it for relative to American dollars. It was a song. It was, a little bit of money, but it was like a nice car in California. It was
okay.
It wasn't $1 or anything, but
right.
It was an old barn. And we decided, well, we'll try and fix it up. And if we can't, we can always sell it. We might lose a little money, but it'll be a fun adventure. But we still look at each other and go, we did not know what we were doing. We got so lucky because it really is even cooler or more beautiful than we ever thought it would be. So when I talk about it, people think, oh, she's such a Pollyanna. She really is over the top. I'm like, okay, you come visit and you'll see. I'm not exaggerating. It is an amazing, lovely place to be. It really is.
Well, God, I have so many questions. So you find the place and you decide to do it. So was it kind of nagging at, not nagging, poking at you while you're back in San Francisco and you're kind of like, oh, well, do you want to go back again? I mean, how did you know that you wanted to take on such a huge project like that?
Well, we took it a step at a time. We'll buy it. We can always sell it. It's real estate. There's a value. It's not like we're ski trip where throwing money out the window skiing.
Right.
We've bought a piece of land that has value. Okay. We will try and see if we can fix it up. And if at any time we decide not to, we can always back out and say, well, that was a great vacation. That was a fun year or two. We don't have a bunch of money. It's not like we can throw it around, but
Right.
it's an investment. But we were so in love that with the place, I found myself in San Francisco. It's like when you have a long distance love affair, all you can think about when you're in the moment is where your heart is. And you want to bring up, well, in Italy, they do this, or, well, that's like in Italy, they have that same kind of food. You find yourself thinking about it, talking about it constantly, really like a deep love. Okay. So the romance was similar for both of us towards this place. We just were enchanted with it. So I just kept feeling more and more reinforced as time went by that this was the right thing. Now, there were some surprises. You buy a 300-year-old stone barn.
Right.
No foundation. And we took the roof off, and you're going to get some surprises.
Yeah. I mean, were you ever like, oh no, what have we done? Or you're like, oh, we'll get through this. You seem like an optimistic person anyways. So I'm sure that those little things didn't get you down.
I'm more optimistic than particularly brave, but in the plane on the way home, the first time we were looking at each other going, what have we done? There's right. A moment, yeah, but it was a good thing. It wasn't oh my God, that was a mistake.
No.
Not once, I can honestly say. I was surprised at how industrious the workers were and that they were on time and that they were fair and honest, except for this one guy who, that happens. I was surprised at how much nicer it was than we even thought. And the house, the first time I came in the house, once it was finished, I walked in and I looked up at the ceiling that was, actually covered. There was no mud dripping, no spiders. It was beautiful. And I burst into tears. It was so beautiful. I mean, it just continually surprised us in the good way every time. So we never had regret. We never felt like that was a dumb thing. My only regret is I can't be there all the time. I really would like to be there all the time. But the reality is we have family, we have friends, and we're back and forth. For several years, though, we had no home in California. We were full-time there.
You did do that. There is a paragraph, if you don't mind me reading it. It's a short paragraph, and it's about when you decided that this is it.
Okay.
So I wanted to just read it to you so you could hear your own words.
I'd love to hear this.
Okay. So you're talking here. There did not seem to be a real front door anywhere, and the actual house was rather small and sat behind the barn. The barn was massive, wet, muddy, and musty. Down a few stairs into the back of the barn was a long, dank wine cellar. I want to see that wine cellar one day. And that has it was knee deep in sludge and murky groundwater. This caught my husband's attention, perhaps more than anything else about the house. The other rooms were a maze broken by a few stairs leading up and a few more leading down and a few leading nowhere. Where I do remember very well is sitting on the grass overlooking the valley. Everyone else was exploring the house and I was alone. Just the songs of 1,000 birds calling from tree to tree and to me. The sun was warm and steady on my skin, but there was the barest of breezes. This is it. I thought again. I love that. What a vision you had.
It was that moment. It wasn't a vision. It's what I just experienced. I was just lucky that I'm
You're like,
sitting
this is
there.
it.
We pulled into the driveway because I was like, I don't want to go to Rodino. I want to be in Monforte. I don't want to look at some house and I wanted to be in town. And when we pulled into it, I'm like, my first thought was, wow, this is a lovely home. It's all fixed up and nice. And I really liked it. And the realtor said, oh, no, that's not the house. It's the one over there. And you look, and there's this falling down old ruin, literally like Pompeii. I mean, it was such a disaster, rusted and falling down.
Right.
But it had kind of character and bones and an elegance. I say it was sort of proud and demure. And you knew it was an edifice at some point in its life and had such potential. And I figured, okay, those stones are beautiful. The roof will be beautiful. We will make it good. But what mattered to me was sitting in that spot where you can look out and see the mountain. The Monfiso is about an hour and a half away, maybe 60 kilometers. And behind us were mature trees, tulips kind of still blossoming. I mean, it was such a setting, and the birds, and it's so quiet. And I just said, this is it. I could sit here for the rest of my days.
And be happy.
This is where I want to be. And I said to my husband, this is it. And he's like, wait, we haven't even seen it yet. I'm like, I'm sorry. I know. This is it. And within 10 minutes, he was with me on that one. Like, you're right. This is it.
So this, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in the region of Piemonte.
Piemonte is the region,
Okay.
which is next to Tuscany or Toscana, Piemonte, Lombardia, which is Milan. And so it's in the northwest corner. It's really tucked up. You can see the mountains, the other side of mountains of Switzerland and Germany or Austria. So you're pretty far north. We're at almost 2,000 feet. So it's a little cooler than parts of some Italy. Still plenty of hot Italian sun but it's not quite as southern, as Naples or Rome. It's definitely a little more clean, elegant, on time, that you'd expect from a northern country. And so it's a Piemonte within our region is the Langhe, Langhe or Langa.
Okay.
So it's like the Napa Valley is within other counties. It's that kind of thing. So the Langhe is one region. Piemonte there are 20 regions in Italy, and it's one of them. And we would say Piedmont. There's a Piedmont in California.
Right. So like the English pronunciation would be Piedmont. But I don't know that I don't know if it's a huge tourist destination. I think it will be in time. And I think the smart people already know that it's there. Because the food and wine there are amazing.
It's not that they're smart or not smart, but the Europeans know it. We get a lot of Northern Europeans coming to Italy to get a little warmer climate, down from Holland, Norway, Germany, some from France. But it's very much a gastro-tourism place for them. They come for the wine, the pasta, the meat. They have fabulous meat, even though if I don't eat a lot of meat here, the meat there is really good for you and very natural, very, well-raised animals. And exquisite wine, exquisite food, lovely views, great climate, really, really pretty. So we don't know about it because you can't fly we're closest to Torino and we're about 2 hours from Milan. So it's kind of a hike to get to Milan, and people don't necessarily go right to Milan. And if they do, they'll go to Lake Como afterwards. But if you hang in and drive a little longer, you really have a surprise in store, because the people there are welcoming of Americans. Oh, Americans, we're cool. They love us. They have a holiday for Americans where the Allies saved them, is what they said. And they celebrate that. So they're like, oh, yay, thanks, America. They really are very kind to us. Very sweet.
That's so lovely. I experienced that when I was in Normandy in France.
Oh,
where, they hang American flags. Thanking Americans for all.
That's how they feel. Yeah. So it's a lovely region, and the town you would fly into within Europe would be Torino or Turin. And that's a nice town. It's a beautiful city, but like where we are, because it's in the country and it's peaceful. There are no Eiffel Towers. There are no giant ruins, but it's a beautiful place to visit, lots to see and do. especially if you like to eat, which I do.
Well, I do too. So now we've established kind of where it is. So you've moved in. What is it? What's the difference you think between like living in San Francisco? I mean, this is so obvious, but we're going to talk about it versus living in the country. Is it polar opposites, or do you kind of ease into it when you go back and forth between the two areas?
We haven't, early on we were going back and forth because we had a home in San Francisco and ruin in Italy. So we'd stay with neighbors and work in the mud and slog through. And once it was finished, we said, we just want to be in Italy. So we sold everything in San Francisco.
Okay.
So for several years, we were, year round in Italy, a couple of years, and then to move back for cancer treatment. I know that's a kind of surprise plot twist there, but once that was done, we were just how soon can we get back here? So we have a foothold here now.
Okay.
I'm cured. Everything's good. But
congratulations. I'm really happy to hear that.
Thank you. But the foothold now is literally to get the book out because I really needed to be here to go around and meet people and go to book signings and do all that. So no, I would be there full time if I could. And we're there as much as we can be. And living there is very much, we slow down a little bit compared to living here. It takes a week or two and I realize, okay, all right, we're back living a peaceful life, but we do the same things like work out in the morning. I walk, or go to the gym, which is only open 3 days a week, but Italian. I go when it's open. We have nothing to do between 12:30 and 3:30 because everything closes. So we take a really nice nap.
Okay. And so you've gotten into the reposado, you're exactly. Kind of reclining like everyone else. You might as well give into it, right?
What else is there to do?
You can't go to the store.
Right. I can't read the paper very well. But so, no. And then dinner is a big deal. What are we going to cook? We go to the markets in the morning and pick out the freshest vegetables, see what's going on, stop by the macelleria and pick up some meat of some kind. And it's just a really peaceful, sane life. We get a lot of visitors, which is nice. Our family and our friends. We have a little apartment attached that we've been renting out the last few years, and that's fun.
Oh,
so there's people coming, going. Our neighbors are our friends. The town. We have lots of friends there now. So it's a very organic, simple life. It isn't. You're not charging around to museums. When we come here, it's great, and we slide back into it, and I get stuff done. I get to get my teeth cleaned. Pick up stuff that I need that I've been, that we can't get on Amazon. When we first moved there was no Amazon. So we were
interesting.
Really living it. Yeah. But now you can get pretty much anything you need to survive. But we come home and there's things to catch up on, and we need to see our grandkids and our children and all that. So that's great. But no, it's a nice life. And I don't know if I'd live there all the time. I probably would. If I could. The medical care is better in the States for us. Okay. The only difference. But the people there are just as close. They're good friends. I mean, you talk about travel connections.
Yes.
That's why we're there. We're in love with the people.
You're connected with them. So the language. So I know in the beginning, you were more like basic Italian language speakers, like, I think.
Zero.
Okay, I gave you too much credit.
And I knew there was a word arrivederci. I didn't know when to use it. The first time I flew into the hotel, I said, buongiorno. And she looked at me.
And it's 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Buonasera, she gently corrected me. I'm like, I didn't even know I was messing up, I literally knew nothing. But when you live in a city and you want to buy bread, you have to learn pane. And if you need to go to the bank, you need to learn banca and conto. And you just start learning it because you're there. And it comes. And we studied real hard. We took lessons and my husband still does Duolingo. I lose it. Well, I've been here now a few months, so I've lost a lot of mine, but it comes back.
It does come back. Well, I love the stories, the anecdotes that you shared about these lovely people that were there to support you and met you. And, oh, here's my this, and let me help you with that. And my cousin does this. And I love that about the Italians. My experience in Italy primarily is in Tuscany and small villages, but very small villages, and watching how they support each other, and they're just so kind. And it was so lovely watching that with you, or listening, or however, watching, I guess, in your book, I felt like I was there. It was in my head. I could see the hills. I could see the mud. I could see the vegetables. I could see, your descriptions were excellent. So I got to see it in my head.
Well, thank you. No, they are, they mean a lot to us. These people are our friends, and they have welcomed us. And I think we learn a lot from them. I mean, I always say I like to travel because I like living someplace, especially. I don't love the traveling around because it's a lot of schlepping, as they say in New York, but it's living there and then hopping over to London, hopping over to Paris is really nice because it's easy. You don't have jet lag. And I have a home there. I have my bed, my pillow, my shower, all the things, the comforts of home in Europe. So I really do like that. I love living there more so than traveling. But I like to see the world through a different window when I travel, and kind of say, yeah, oh yeah, so this is how we look. And I've learned, especially with all what's going on in our country right now with politics and the kind of the upheaval, they have that too. They have governments that they like, don't like, it varies. Sure. And they focus on family. They focus on the beautiful day, friends. Sunday, they stop and have 3-hour lunches with everybody. And they help each other through, and they don't let it get them down, and they don't obsess about it, and they don't sit around and stare at the TV, that's for sure.
I know. No, it's true. They live their life, and they live with gusto, and I love Italians. So let's talk about why you wrote the book. It's obvious to me that it should have been a book, but how did that process go for you?
Well, I've been a writer, as you said. I was in advertising, and I was an English major, and I wrote ever since I was a little girl. So it just, of course, after I was no longer working, I started a blog called Life After Advertising. It evolved into my Bella Monforte when I fell in love with Monforte. And as I'm writing these little blog posts, all my friends back in the day when blogs were kind of a new thing, they go, "Oh, we love your posts. We love these stories." And they were extraordinary little stories, I thought. Like I woke up one morning and I heard this noise. It's kind of a wah, wah. And I opened the window and there were 350 sheep in our lawn.
What?
The shepherd was coming by and they're eating our grass and we're waving and they went on. I mean, stuff like that was just kind of extraordinary. It happens a couple times a week, something like that. So I was capturing these stories because my husband said, we have to capture these moments.
You do.
Leave us and we want to remember ourselves. And all my friends said, this is great. So I thought, I really should put this in a book because most anyone that would actually drive the 2 hours from Milan, come out of the car after an overnight flight and go, obviously, I'm not Italian, neither is my husband. What are the two of you doing in the middle of nowhere, Piemonte? And how did you get here? To a person, they all say that. So I said, okay, there's a story here that I just want to put down on paper. And after it got written, She Writes Press said they loved it and would publish it, and Simon & Schuster are distributing it. So it became real. But that was a couple of years ago. It's finally out in like 3 weeks. But gosh, it takes a long time to birth a book.
It does take a long time. And so what will the process be to market the book? Are you going to go to bookstores, or do you have a book tour that people can look up to find out where you're going to be? How does it work?
Oh, I should put it on my website. The best place to go is barbaraboyleauthor.com. That's my author page. And I don't have them up there quite yet, but I'm in the next few days. I have many book signings the first week in San Francisco.
Okay.
I have a couple in Santa Barbara. I have some in Sonoma. I have anyone that has a book group that wants me, I'll come bring books and talk if they want to do that. I've done that. I'll be available on Zoom if I'm not in your town. But yeah, it's about 2 months of that. Then there'll be some more in Des Moines in New York in June. And then I'm in Italy, and I'm hopefully going to if I can't get it translated, I'm at least going to try and go around to some bookstores and see if people would like it. But it's an ongoing thing for the year. I'll be out there, doing book signings. I have a Substack too, which I'd really like people to follow. It's called funnily enough, letters from 300-year-old Italian farmhouse. And Substack is a nice platform because it's not tied into any advertising. It's just as a writer and your subscribers. And you write maybe once a week, every couple of weeks. I call little letters that I'd like to bring a little Italian sunshine into your day. Just a little moment, something that happened, some recipes. I have some recipes in the book as well. Just to kind of share the life there, because I do think it's a nice break. Most people like Italy a lot. And you spend 4 or 5 minutes, you feel like you're in Italy, and then you can go back to your day. So that's what I am going to do for a long time once the book is out as well, is keep my Substack going.
I love that. And I read your Substack. I'm on your list, and I do read your Substack. I'm a big fan. We didn't talk too much. We're almost coming to the end of our interview, but I want to jump back to like special dishes in your area. Like what, and we talked about Barolo, but like what is something you think that maybe the rest of us don't know about the region that is a favorite of yours? We're
going to have to do another half an hour on this, dear.
Okay. Well, let's talk for a little while.
I'll give you a minute. The pasta, you would know, is very regional there. So one region has a pasta, you eat it everywhere you go. You don't eat it when you leave, you eat another pasta. What there is tagliarine, which is like a pasta, like a tagliatelle kind of a thing, almost like a spaghetti. And this ravioli called ravioli del plin. And plin means pinch.
Okay.
You pinch it to sort of hold the sauce in, holds the nooks and crannies. And it is so delicious because inside the ravioli is a little tiny bit of meat, lots of veggies, and just the tiniest bit of cheese. To me, it's like the most perfect morsel of food is this little ravioli. So that's the first thing I have to order every time I come home. We have to go out for just a small portion of plin with butter and sage. It's just the perfect platter in the world. So there's their pasta. They have veal. They raise veal, and everybody in America is like, no, it's the opposite. It's like chicken. It's everywhere. You don't even see chicken on most menus, but you see veal because they're raised locally. They're raised sustainably and well, and they keep everybody working. They keep garden green. It's actually a very authentic, green, and sustainable thing to eat. So they have these wonderful dishes that just fall apart with, cooked in Barolo.
Yeah.
Delicious. And what's the thing you can't deny are the fresh vegetables. Because people literally go out to the garden and get a tomato, come home and eat it. I learned pasta norma from my neighbors because the eggplant and the tomatoes, we just went out, picked them. They were still warm from the garden, sliced them and ate them. And it's so good to eat that way. It's much more delicious. It's healthier. It's better for the planet. It's so, I could go on for hours, but I have about a dozen recipes, maybe 14, but one of them is my mother's pecan pie, which I've worked into it in the book because I so respect their food, and I could do a whole cookbook one of these days, but that's
I think you've got a couple more books in you on this because I was thinking as I realized, you had written it a couple of years ago, and I'm like, well, what's happening now?
Right. I know.
Got the house. What's happening now? So,
I would love to tell you.
We can read Substack and we can learn what's happening now. But no, you do have the possibility of several books, I think, that would be lovely to read for the rest of us, I think.
I do find it fun, and I find it a constant source of stimulation and joy to write about it. I really do.
So lovely. Well, I certainly loved reading your book. I am in your target market, but I just am so happy that I discovered it, and I can't wait to share it with other people because I know many other people are going to want to read it. And I love the idea that you will offer, hey, I'll do a book group. I mean, everyone wants to talk to authors. They want to talk about the experience that led you to write this book.
Well, there's a lot of layers in it, but I think of it as kind of an armchair adventure in that you don't really want to get on a plane and go to Italy all the time. And
not everyone. Nope.
It takes you through it. And you dream about, well, maybe someday I could move to Italy. And this will tell you how one couple did it. Not that everybody should do it that way, but just it can be done. I say, take it slowly. Keep your eyes open, but leave breadcrumbs so that if you have to go back, you can go back, go kind of back and forth. So I don't really it's not in a how-to book. It's just it's how we did book. So
No.
it's an adventure.
Well, it was an adventure and it was a pleasure to read. And thank you so much for coming on Travel Connections to share your story. Let's go back over the links again so everyone can make sure that they know. And then I also write a summary for the episode. So when they come to my summary page, which is adventuresofemptynesters.com/podcast, I do a summary with all your links as well. But let's go back over your author page and anything else that you can share.
Okay. So it's Barbara Boyle author.com. And on there, you can learn about me. You can learn about the book. And I will try and quickly get my my schedule where I'm going to be on the website so that people can do that. But what will keep me going for many years to come, I hope, is the Substack that I work on. And Substack is a relatively new platform in the last year or two, where you're just with me. You're not going to get ads from Facebook on it, but you will get like an email from me every time I post, once or twice or 3 times, maybe 4 times a month, depending what's going on. When I'm back in Italy, it's a lot easier to post there. It's a little harder from San Francisco, but and that's boyleb.substack.com. So it's my name, Boyle, and my letter B, boyleb.substack.com. Or you can just go on Substack and Google letters from a 300-year-old farmhouse. I'm the only one that's like in that range.
In that range.
All that theme. Yeah. And so those are the main things, and I can continue to reach people that way.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again. And I hope to see you back on Travel Connections again, because we have a lot more we could talk about.
And I think you and I have made a wonderful connection already. I think as soon as this is over, we need to talk further. You need to come visit, and I'd love to have you in Italy. It would be great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Bye-bye.